Hey guys, what's going on? Doing a quick video today about replacing the front CV axle boots on my MTVR. It appears that both of mine were split, presumably from the dry environment this truck had sat in for several years before being surplused. It's a pretty cheap little part to replace. Definitely recommend replacing the boot rather than replacing the entire axle. The entire axle, for some reason, they're very proud of, and they want $750 for a complete axle. You start off by removing the 18mm 4 bolts that hold the flange together. I definitely recommend taking the time to mark that with a punch or a chisel. It helps reassembly go faster. And then you come over to your actual boot itself. You can do the lazy way. You can split it with a knife all the way around. If it's already due for replacement, what's it matter? Otherwise, you can take a screwdriver or attempt to cut your clamp. Be careful not to scar up your steel too much behind the clamp. And you're going to need an 18mm for the flange, and you'll need a 16mm to remove your shock, which is laying there. Unsure off the top of my head what the size is for the nut that goes on the shock. Big adjustable wrench, take care of that. I also like to pull the inner fender liners. Makes the job a lot easier. They seem to be easier to get in and out than the 939 5-ton series trucks. Once you come down here and you pull your shock out, which it's two 16mm that hold it down, you'll end up pulling the shaft sideways, basically towards the tire, with your wheels presumably straight. You'll pull it back and then drop it out, and you'll end up seeing the splines will pull out on the CV joint, and the CV joint will be left behind inside of the hub. Perfect time to go ahead and clean your axle. Clean that out very well, and inspect the wear on the splines and check for slop and the balls on the joint, stuff like that. And the important part to remember here is wheel bearing grease and just universal grease will not cut it for this application. What I recommend for it, from all the research I had did, was this is your cheapest, safest bet. Go to Tractor Supply or your favorite place and pick up some 3% base moly grease. It would be better if you could find 6%. I don't know if that's easy to get. Definitely not in my local area, but you'll end up using a total of 6 tubes. 2 tubes inside of the actual boot itself, and 1 tube packed into the joint. And another little tip, you want to turn your wheels to ease the ability to realign the splines and slip it in. I didn't have much luck doing it with the wheels straight. Coming out was no problem, but going back in, definitely a pain. I guess it just didn't have enough hair around it. And anyways, the other major issue you will have is trying to get the clamp on. What I ended up doing, when I found what was best for me, was I slipped the clamp on before slipping the boot on. I slipped it back there for the big one, and the little one I went ahead and pre-crimped while the shaft was outside the truck. I slid the boot on, put the grease on, crimped it down, and then once I got it back in here, I ended up having to get the wheels perfectly straight, and I took a little cheap pry bar and took a shop rag and folded it over several times and inserted it into the crack and used the pry bar against the coil spring and pressed on it. You can do it as a one-man operation. I definitely recommend 2. It makes it a lot faster. Just makes things go quicker too. So anyways, that's all there is to it. If you need any help or suggestions, just reach out. If there's any videos or information that you're curious about, send me a message and I'll see what I can work out for you. All right, see ya.